Next week on the Sports PSP pod, we're gonna make our predictions. But BRF, Champ and
Yes,
I,
sir.
we talked about this. The floor is yours. I want to hear your thoughts about
Okay.
Belichick not making the first ballot.
Stupid as hell. Just to get the bluntness out the way. Stupid as hell. Stupid. Just absolutely stupid. Whether look here, as a Falcons fan, will I forever hold a grudge against Bill? I wouldn't hold the grudge against Bill Belichick for 28-3 as bad as I do if he didn't taunt us and throw it in our face every chance he can with the shirts and then the fans doing the 28-3 on the scoreboard. Just he and his freaking 20-some-year-old girlfriend wearing the 28-3 shirt. I mean, if he didn't throw it at us in our faces every chance he could, I wouldn't hold the grudge against him as much as I do. For that he can sit on one and spin. But even still, even even still, even still, he deserved to, he is the greatest coach in the history of this league. I know that was a little blunt. I know that was a little blunt.
Over
I
Don
know.
Shula. Over Don Shula.
Huh?
Over Don Shula.
Bro.
No, I'm
Yes.
asking.
I know
You know,
yes.
Shula
Yeah,
got
I
the
know.
win.
I know
Belichick got
Don.
the
I know
Super Bowl.
Don Shula has the wins. I know Don Shula has the wins, but Bill Belichick is the greatest coach ever because it's not just the fact that he has those 6 rings as a head coach. It's the time and era in which he did it in the salary cap era with turnover at a premium pretty much occurring every single year just about, and then having a guy like Tom Brady convincing him or him being, the Patriot way, having a guy like Tom Brady being able to, that was willing to take less money in order to help you get the best personnel around him in order to continue winning year in and year out. And then add to the fact that you're probably the greatest defensive mind the league has ever seen with your abilities to not only to just call base defense, but your ability to be able to scheme around an offensive best player week in and week out and being able to make someone's strength their weakness and take it away from them. No coach, I feel like no defensive mind in the history of football has been able to do that on a more dominant level and on a more consistent level than Bill Belichick. And I made a video about this too. Bill Polian, that was a punt move. We know it was you. We know it was you. Oh, let's hold Spygate. He shouldn't get in this year because of Spygate and da 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 da. I'm like, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that crap. Bro, there are players in the NFL Hall of Fame that have done far worse to not only other people but themselves, Lawrence Taylor, have done far worse than what Bill Belichick did with Spygate and Deflategate. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Lawrence Taylor, freaking first ballot Hall of Famer. We know what Homeboy was doing during the games and all that stuff. We know what he was known for. I feel like that's a far worse offense than what Bill Belichick did as far as Spygate and Deflategate. We're not excusing it, but and then Jimmy Johnson coming out and being like, "Y'all holding this against him? Coaches were doing this all the time."
You know
Like,
what? You know what
only
term he called them? He called them
I can't
assholes.
remember.
They
Yeah,
call
I
them
do.
cowards.
Okay, I do remember. Yeah, he did.
And they
He called.
call them
He's
cowards as well.
yeah, but and it's yeah, yeah, he called them cowards and assholes. Like,
And Jimmy Johnson would know a thing or two about it. After all, he was not even in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
no, he
So
exactly he wasn't. And it's like Bill Belichick should have been a shoe in first ballot. And the fact that and the thing is, it's not like this is Bill Polian's first rodeo as far as being petty and being an asshole in his own right. Ask Lamar Jackson. Ask Lamar Jackson. Oh, well, I think he should play quarterback because I don't feel he has acumen to be a quarterback. We know what that means reading between the lines, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So Bill Polian is famous for these. Be nice, Rodro. He's famous for these statements that he's made throughout his career as not necessarily sounding the being the brightest or being the sharpest tool in the shed, and that's a shame with him because he's one of the best general managers we've seen in the sport. I mean, look at what those Indianapolis Colts teams did, being able to get talent and be able to really, even though they only beat the Patriots once in the playoffs, the fact that they were able to eat and get a Super Bowl on Tom Brady's watch, to get to be able to win like they did in the AFC on Tom Brady's watch, that says a lot about the IQ in the brain of Bill Polian to be able to bring the best possible players in there in order to compete and hang with the Patriots year in and year out. But this was a punk move. There was a punk move. Like, I mean, and it's like, and I will say this though. I wish there were, I will say this though. I might get in a little trouble for this. I wish the outrage was there when T.O. missed the Hall of Fame the first 2 years. He does have a point on that one.
I mentioned
But
that.
even,
I mentioned that.
but even,
I
yeah,
mentioned.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, hey, and you're right for mentioning it because I mean, T.O. in my opinion is the second greatest wide receiver of all time. And I know I'm gonna get into some debates on that one. I've gotten into debates on that one. I think T.O. is number 2 all time behind Jerry Rice. But like Bill Belichick is the unquestioned, undisputed, no debate GOAT head coach ever. And the fact that he even has to sit a year because a GM who was 6-10 against him from 2000 to 2011 and 1-2 in the playoffs against him decide we're going to be petty and we're going to hold spygate against him. I'm like, bro, come on, man. That is, for me, that's not a good enough reason to hold him out of the Hall of Fame for a year.
Big fella.
Y'all want to know what's so funny about Bill Polian holding grudges about cheating, right? Don't nobody remember the Indianapolis scandal? Nobody remembers the Indianapolis scandal? Oh, damn.
Didn't have to do with pumping
Remember
crowd
when
noise?
they got found guilty for pumping fake crowd noise into the damn arena?
Pumping crowd noise, yeah.
Yeah, so you talk about
they were pumping crowd noise
into the arena? Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did I? But champ, the reason why he got reason why Bill Polian he's able to do that to Bill Belichick, and again, I said it before, it's a culmination of things: jealousy, envy, and BRF. You mentioned T.O. just like I mentioned T.O. You know how funny it is when people say T.O. is not a first ballot Hall of Famer because he didn't meet the criteria, but ironically, Randy Moss, he's in the Pro Football Hall
Randy
of Fame
Moss
on the
is a first
first
ballot Hall of Famer and did far worse than Terrell Owens.
and he had off the field issues that Terrell Owens never had. And
Never
Randy Moss admitted, I play when I want to. Plus, champ, your father told you, hey, bro, the moment Dennis Green, God rest his soul, once he fired, sooner or later, Randy Moss gonna get up out of here. Your father did tell you that.
Yes, I remember him saying that. He said, he said it a lot nicer than what I would say, because my dad's old. When Dennis Green got fired, he said Randy Moss is fried. But he put a lot of other words, a lot of other letters in the word fried. Because he said, lo and behold, he said, he finna start acting a fool, and guess what? They finna get hit up out of there. He said it. And
He
lo
did.
and behold, 4 years later, he was traded to Oakland.
And like I said,
Traded to Oakland.
And BRF, you mentioned Randy Moss, T.O. They used that against T.O. You didn't use that with Randy Moss last time I checked. Randy Moss had many on the field issues. Randy Moss had off the field issues. But because he was with the media and ESPN, somehow, some way, that got overlooked. And for anyone to tell me that the media did not play a role in this, it's just absolute.
They lying to themselves.
No, I'm gonna use the term bullshit. It's bullshit.
Okay.
Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. No. I know a Hall of Famer when I see one. I know greatness when I see one. Don't tell me Terrell Owens does not belong in the Hall of Fame on the first try as the first ballot just because his character or his reputation and all that other bullshit. If that's the argument we're going to use, miss me with that horse shit.
Come back, champ. Come back, champ. Come back, champ. Come back, champ.
Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. Don't tell me it's a nice piece of Hershey Kiss. Don't tell me it's a Snickers bar or some of that shit.
Oh, boy.
I kind of thought it was a chocolate payday. I was swimming and he kind of. Man, I have got to
Oh.
stop hanging out with y'all every week. I got to stop hanging out with y'all. I need some new friends. God damn. I need
Thank
some
you.
new friends.
Thank you. Thank you to Jim Cornette. Thank you to Jim Cornette.
Oh God. Oh.
Good God, have
Oh.
mercy.
Man got me crying. Man got me crying over here.
I gotta stop hanging out with y'all
Oh.
every week. I can't do this though.
Don't tell me
But
that. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is
oh
chocolate.
man.
Lord have mercy.
Because how are you gonna sit there and tell us with a straight face, a six-time Super Bowl champion, the second most wins by a head coach, only behind Don Shula, he's out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot? Again, it's just jealousy, vendetta, media. Oh, because he didn't have a great relationship with the media. You know, he didn't do a good job cultivating a relationship with the media. Horse
So
shit.
who cares? Win. Man, this
It's
brought man
about
won 19 division. He won 19 division titles. Who cares?
last time
Uh,
I checked, I thought it was supposed to be about results. I'm sorry, go ahead,
BRF,
That's what
Chimp.
I thought too.
my bad, PSP. But I had to tell him what we were talking about earlier. Do you think that they are doing to
Mm.
him as far as his relationship to the media, what they did, what they're doing with Barry Bonds? Because they're trying to hold
Oh,
cheating.
absolutely.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
because remember, I talked
Yes.
me and PSP, New Jersey Genius was talking earlier, and I said it's quite ironic that now granted, I don't know baseball the way BRF does. I'm just gonna just keep it all the way above. You want to be a baseball guru, you watch BRF. But this is just what I know and have kind of recollected off memory. Because it's quite ironic that they hold a grudge with Barry Bonds because he quote unquote did steroids, but they don't have that same energy against Big Poppy. Remember, he tested
Yeah,
positive for
yep.
steroids.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I brought
yes,
up the
yes, he
point
did.
that he was kind of being Barry Bonds because everybody was people have been cheating in the NFL since the beginning of time. To stick them from using steroids to using, amphetamines to pep pills to, remember when the Oakland Raiders used to come out there with the cast on. And I brought up the fact, remember
With the
Bobby
cast
Brown came
on.
out there with that fake broken thumb for years. And he would hit uh, LC Greenwood and Mean Joe Green in the stomach and stuff like that. Those guys who coached those teams, they're still in the Hall of Fame. So do you think that's kind of Barry
Hmm.
Bonds esque because he doesn't have the greatest relationship with the media?
That is a that is a really good analogy because to really kind of piggyback on that as far as Barry Bonds is concerned, I I don't my thing with baseball, I don't want to hear them use the steroids era and how they're keeping these players out when they've started to elect players from that era in the Hall of Fame now. I got because like it's the fact that because David Ortiz got into the Hall of Fame was because he was a media darling and the media loved him. I mean, let's keep it above. Did he deserve to get in? He's the greatest designated hitter of all time. He absolutely deserved to get in for all his contributions with the Boston Red Sox. I mean, they go 96 years in between world championships, and David Ortiz helps them win four. So I mean, he absolutely deserved to get in. He's the greatest DH of all time. But even still, you tested positive for steroids and you got in because the media loved you. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. Barry Bonds had two Hall of Fame careers. I mean, even before the '01 to '04, like the steroid spike is what I like to call it. Even before that spike, he's the first player in baseball history with 500 home runs and 500 stolen bases, and he was a really really good defensive outfielder before the steroids, and his body got bigger to a point where he became more of like a DH type and he wasn't that good of an outfielder anymore. But yeah, that's a really good comparison because they are definitely giving Bill Belichick to Barry Bonds because of his relationship with the media. But albeit that said, like PSP said, it is a results based, results driven league. You are the greatest coach of all time. You have six championships as a head coach. You have two as a defensive coordinator. You have 318 wins all time, 19 division titles. I can't remember how many AFC championships, and then and just the nine appearances with the Patriots and the six rings. Like, you are the greatest coach of all time. There's no reason you should be having to sit out a year. I don't give a damn Who's being petty? And Bill Polian, you should be ashamed of yourself because this makes the NFL Hall of Fame look entirely worse. And now it's like, oh, great. Because it's like I said in the video, the NFL Hall of Fame is getting to a point where y'all need to stop letting your inmates run the asylum if they can't put people in off of a results based league. If you can see with your clear eyes that this player or this coach is warranted to get in first ballot, you put him in first ballot and you move on to the next one. Because when you look at the finalists, I think the my Hall of Fame locks, I'll get into a little bit. I think my Hall of Fame locks right now would be Bill Belichick, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly. Those would be my first ballot locks. Those would be my first locks. And then everybody else, we just kind of go from there. But those four should have would have those four, if I was voting, they get in. They get in because Luke, because of Kuechly only playing 8 years, but already being considered one of the standards as far as the middle linebacker position, being one of the greatest of all time already. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, you see the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. As good as he was, hardly ever having a top echelon quarterback. Your best quarterbacks in your career was a late in his prime Kurt Warner and a Carson Palmer,
Palmer.
who and Carson Palmer, who basically got healthy at the right time, goes into Arizona and has some of his and puts up some of his best stats in his career there. But even still, the quarterback play Larry Fitzgerald had at Arizona was so horrible, and to still put the kind of career he had together. But Bill Belichick not getting in first ballot is like one of the biggest jokes in the history of any sports Hall of Fame, and it's like it's not even close.
It just tells you that it's about media and jealous and envy, and why sometimes, man, like with the Hall of Fame, I can't take it seriously anymore, because I would like to think all of us, since we all know our sports, we know a Hall of Famer when we see one. Their impact, the
Exactly.
production, the results. To not being a first ballot, he's been five first team All Pros, more than Randy. He's unlike Randy. He's a first team All Pro on three different teams. Ted Hendricks, Deion Sanders is in that category. So is T.O. But because of reputation or character, and because he wasn't that great with the media, suddenly he was kept out of the Hall of Fame the first three times. Chris Carter kept out of the Hall of Fame 6 times. So is it about merit? Is it about production? Or is it about who we like, who we dislike, and who we want to bring in or not? And I asked this question:
Exactly.
is Brady going to be in the Hall of Fame? Are they going to do the Brady like they did the Belichick? I don't think
Brother,
so.
if they're not gonna do Tom Brady
If they
like
do
they're not
that,
well.
they will
The
riot.
chance, the chance,
Yeah,
the chance, the chance would have been there had he not gone to work for Fox Sports. But I'm telling you right now,
that
even
but
if he
that's my
didn't
but
work
that's
for,
my but that's
yeah,
my point, BRF.
yeah,
I don't believe he will. I don't believe they're going to keep Tom Brady out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Here's why. You mentioned Fox. He's involved with the media. Unlike Belichick, Brady is well liked and perceived by the media. Brady's called the GOAT.
hmm
Belichick, do I think if Belichick had a rapport with the media, had he done a better job conducting himself with the media, perhaps he would have been in on the first ballot. But regardless, the fact that you he's not a first ballot, that is just criminal of itself, given the Super Bowl championships, the second most wins, everything else. And I understand people will look at Vince Lombardi. There's a trophy named after him. He's not a first
hmm
ballot. Bill Parcells is not
Nope.
even a first ballot. But we got to stop holding people to the standard, or we need to change the criteria. And I'll ask you this question, BRF. If we're going to keep on holding people with characters, their reputations, and stuff like that, there's a certain quarterback who played in Pittsburgh for 18 years, Ben Roethlisberger. He belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on his merit, but off the field, there isn't much pretty good things to say about him, particularly Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and just like Champ in your home state, Georgia, Milledgeville.
Mhm. Is he up for the Hall
If
of Fame
they,
this
I
year?
I mean,
Ben, he retired in
Um,
2022, so he's got like another year left.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think I think it'll be next year. He'll be up.
And Shannon
2027 will
Sharp,
be his. Yeah.
he's mentioned all the time. He was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame room when Brett Favre's name was mentioned. No time they mentioned Bankhead Brett. No time they mentioned the Viking addiction. No time they mentioned the pictures that he sent to Jen Sturger, the female employee of the New York Jets. They never brought up how Brett Favre, how he retired and then unretired.
The media loved Brett Favre because he had the, had the child. They always praised him like he had the childlike spirit going out there playing the quarterback position. He gave it his all and da 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 da. He was the media darling. But I mean, Brett Favre, regardless of what you think of him as a person, Brett Favre is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, for a good 5 year stretch, he was the face of the National Football League. And not just from a quarterback perspective. Brett Favre was the face of the National Football League, not just from a quarterback perspective. He was the face. So it's like you definitely can't write the history without Brett Favre. I mean, Brett Favre was the NFL for a pretty good stretch.
He was.
So you're definitely so they're not gonna hold so he's gonna like there he's gonna get in as first on a first ballot and like with and Tom Brady's gonna get in first ballot. I mean,
If t-
regardless of whether Tom Brady
I'll
was in the
state
media
this.
or not, he better have got in. He better be getting in first ballot regardless.
I'll state this. I think Skip Bayless played a role for Belichick being kept out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not saying that he didn't vote, but because of his platform and because he's been on First Take and Undisputed, raving about Tom Brady like he has had, he has often said he'll give Brady 75, 80% of the credit. Meanwhile, Belichick 25 to 20% of the credit. After all, this is the same Skip Bayless that did call T.O. Team Obliterator. And remember, was it all that bad in T.O. in Philadelphia? Last time I checked, and that's one of the reasons why, champ, when we had babyface heel, you had Donovan McNabb as a babyface. I had him as a tweener because there were times Donovan didn't behave presidential, or in the words of Colin Cowherd, quarterback heel. Because remember, Brian Westbrook was in the midst of a contract negotiation. Donovan spoke for his behalf, but not for T.O.'s. As you mentioned, for a teammate who was there with T.O. and Donovan. Remember when Donovan told T.O. to shut the bleep up?
Yeah.
Or when Donovan, the night before the Super Bowl, hey, he was drinking. What person do you know the night before the Super Bowl was drinking? And T.O., he was coming back off an injury. Labeled selfish to play in the Super Bowl in a game of that magnitude.
I don't drink the night before a test, much less football game. I
Facts.
don't drink the night before a test, much less a football game.
But you see the hypocrisy.
Exactly. So I mean, hey, it's all these days, man. Sports has changed for better for worse. Sports have changed, man. It's about narrative. It's about narrative now, and we all are going to speak from a place of a narrative. If it fits the narrative, and I don't think this. Let me be real careful about what I'm going to say here, because I want everybody to read between the lines, but I want you to walk with me what I'm about to say here. We live in a society of narrative, especially when it comes to sports and among other things. It all depends on who we like. Drake made, he goes to a Super Bowl. Everybody clowning them, saying this and that and the third. Had Josh Allen or let's say Patrick Mahomes or anybody else, one of the big five, I call them the Power Five. The Power Five had went to a Super Bowl taking this very, very route. They probably will be singing their praises forever. And it's probably would have been considered as the best route to the Super Bowl. But I believe these days, as far as journalism in general, whether it be politics, sports, or etc., I think that the media has changed it to narrative, and I don't think the athletes being involved in media has has made it any better. I think they've made it worse.
It has. And I just think, but like I said, man, which champ nearly fell off his chair. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate.
I ain't never
I
heard
mean,
that before. That's a good one. I ain't never heard that one before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I copied. No, I didn't copy it from somebody else. But after watching all them Jim Cornette videos, like I always watch, you ain't gonna stop me from watching Jim Cornette, champ. That's one thing you ain't gonna stop me from doing. As often you call him colorful.
Colorful. Very, very
Oh
colorful.
boy, that's about one of them. That's easily one of the most colorful things I've heard you say.
Mhm.